What is up, Strike Squad? How's it going? So, in this video, we're going to talk about something called tempo. And tempo is extremely important for both laners and junglers to understand. And you'll hear tempo explained a bunch of different ways. But the simplest definition of tempo is when you're leaving Fountain to get to an objective, whether it is a first tier tower, a second tier tower, a Baron, right, or a Dragon, it is who gets to the objective first. That is all tempo means. It's who gets there first. So if there's a fight happening, let's use we're gonna use Dragon as an example in this, right? So when we look at this map, and I ask you the question, who has tempo for this Dragon, right? Well, it's very clear. He's dead. Shyvana's already alive. Halfway out of base. Shyvana's gonna get to the Dragon first when it spawns. The bot lane and the mid lane are already there. Seraphine's on her way. Morgana and TF are backing. So red side has tempo for the Dragon, right? So that means that red side should get the Dragon. That's what makes sense, right? When we're looking at this. So, and then we have a top laner who has TP, right? It's not up yet. They're pushing out this wave since it's a crashing wave. And let's watch this. Let's watch a little bit and see how this plays out and talk about why tempo is important. So tempo is important for several reasons. When you have tempo, Caitlyn's there setting up traps already in the bushes. We're setting up a perimeter. We're starting the drag immediately. Now TF can TP out here, which is fine. Now this wave is shoved, which means that TF has to go respond to it, right? But, however, when we're looking at this, we talk about a couple of factors here. So, the red team had tempo, right? So how did this go so wrong? Well, let's talk about a few things. Let's go back just a second. Okay, first off, you have an Urgot who has teleport. Urgot should have teleported right away. And I can say that about the Urgot because I was playing Urgot. I should have teleported to this ward as soon as my teleport was up and I caught that wave. I greeted for the extra wave by staying, thinking that my team would be fine. But as soon as the TF ult gets hit, I should be TPing here and I'm not. Now let's talk about something else. Tempo sometimes can be more important than the small little things. So when we look at like this wave, for instance, right? Dragon is going to spawn right now. The added damage and zoning that Annie can provide is pretty important for the team here. So, yes, they get a little bit of extra gold here, but potentially being in this position to help zone may have been worth more in the long run. Now the TP comes down. Now red team gets the Dragon because tempo is effective, but then the fight goes bad. And here's where we talk about like, okay, why did the fight go bad? Tempo secured the objective, but the fight, obviously, not going great, didn't go well. Well, because even though we had tempo on the objective, we didn't utilize our tempo to correctly set up like a perimeter where Urgot and Annie would be zoning here and potentially, then Caitlyn, Seraphine, Shyvana get the Dragon here uncontested, and when the fight starts out in this direction, we have a clean engage, right? And potentially we can zone the Garen here. I mean, there's different ways that this could have played out for sure, but this is a good example of tempo just means who gets there first, but making a split-second decision mid lane, for a minion or two, where you're like, oh, it's only 3 seconds, right? Or making a split-second decision like, well, it's only one extra wave, right? Once you give up that one extra wave, once you go for those 3 extra minions and you give up that 5 seconds, that's 5 seconds where the team has pretty much went over distance. And now the tempo advantage that you did have, where it shouldn't have been close at all, no longer is a tempo advantage. So it's kind of a quick rundown on how tempo works. And this isn't the cleanest example because obviously our team didn't execute on having tempo perfectly. But the important thing is being able to recognize like, okay, which team has tempo? Okay, we do. So where are we running? And how are we going to do this as fast as possible to punish the enemy team for not being out on the map? Because sometimes the speed is more important than anything else, right? And the 5 extra seconds you spend pushing a top lane is Urgot, right? inevitably can put your team in a pretty bad spot, right? So I like looking at videos like this because I can highlight my own mistakes and areas where I obviously need to improve. And then you guys can look at my mistakes and go, okay, that's something to learn from. Because Annie shoving this wave did stall TF partially, but what I did up here didn't really do anything but create a slow push. So this pressure wasn't relevant, so I should have TP'd earlier and been in a position to help fight. Alright, so I hope that this, even though it was short, kind of helped explain what tempo is to you guys and how it kind of works within jungling and also within the game. Now, priority also ties to tempo, so feel free to watch my priority video, and then priority, strong side, weak side, and tempo kind of all go together to help you understand when, you're in an optimal place to roam and help your team or roam and help your jungler. I will see you guys in the next one.